I was born a boy but my mother raised me as a girl. I'm my mother's only surviving child, one sister died from SIDS and the other three she can't about, so I'm not sure if they're real or she made them up in her grief. Growing up she would always tell me that even though I was a boy physically I had the spirits of my sisters inside me, so I was a girl. She loved vintage fashion and everything in our house was from the 40s to 60s. So she loved to dress me up like a different decade each month and I enjoyed it, but the clothes were never for playing in. If I wanted to play outside I was only allowed to sit on the swing or sit and have a picnic with my dolls. Once I put mud in the layers of my petticoat and she slapped me so hard it left a nasty bruise. I wasn't allowed to play outside alone for a long time after that. It wasn't much of a punishment though, since we mostly stayed inside. Going into public was very rare and only if I got sick enough. I wasn't allowed to watch TV past the early 60s. My mom hated the 70s because that's when women became who are, so I thought that everyone else looked and sounded strange for a long time. She hated it if I acted too much like a boy. I wasn't allowed to get dirty, get angry, or say that I was hungry. If I said that I wasn't a girl she would call me a whore or threaten to cut it. I wasn't allowed to say it was a penis, off. It always made her cry and become depressed for days after, which would make her hit me or forget to feed me entirely. The last time I said it I couldn't have been older than 10 and she asked me if I wished she died and she told me if I said it again she'd die for me. It worked because I never said that again. She tried so hard to keep me small by restricting how much food I eat, putting weights in my pockets, and making me take the pill. I don't know if it worked or I was always going to be extremely short, but either way it's one of the few things I actually hate her for. She even tried to keep it small and she didn't let me close my room door as I got older because she was afraid self-pleasure would turn me into a man. When we finally found suitable friends for me, another decade-obsessed family my mom had met somehow, I think they were mostly obsessed with the 40s. They had a son my age and mom would always try to make me flirt with him or ask me if I liked him. I didn't. He was a rude, horny teenager with no outlet, so he would make me kiss him and then call me names after. To this day I still don't know if he or his parents knew I was really a boy either. I'm just glad they had to move further away. I didn't officially start school until my sophomore year after my mom decided to transition. I can't say for sure it was suicide because there was no note, just a lot of blood. I don't know why I feel so numb when I think about it. I love my mom, but for some reason my mind refuses to allow me to think of it very often even when I try. School was hard because I was still grieving and I didn't do well because I was so far behind in math. Socially I couldn't make friends with boys because I was too feminine, and girls were nice but still distant because they didn't want to be associated with a F***G. My aunt and uncle made me cut my knee-length hair all the way up to my hip because they thought it would help me fit in. I hated it and I cry if think about it for too long. What's worse is it wouldn't have mattered anyway since I wouldn't have had time to fit in. I spent every day after school with a private teacher who was more concerned with correcting my behavior. I feel like he made my shyness worse, but I can't say he was a bad teacher because I passed that year and got all A's in math the rest of high school. Although sometimes I wonder if I was given good grades out of pity because I've never felt smart or cared about learning. School was just a way to pass time. Today, I still don't have any friends, just pets. I mostly just stay in the house while my husband goes to work. He's older and has a time period fixation and like my mom, but he's caring and he lets me sell pottery instead of working, so I can't complain. I'm still only allowed watch supervised TV shows though, but at least it's from any year I choose. I can't handle certain things and it's frustrating because I don't know what makes me act that way. I don't know if I actually like men either, and I don't know if I see myself as a man or woman, but I know I only like my body half of the time. I feel like I don't know myself as well without mom around. I miss her a lot. I feel like she left me so I could hurt for the rest of my life, and sometimes I can't handle it, so I've tried to leave too. It didn't become less painful. I've just learned to soothe myself as time passes.